is a fun, fundamental, basic movement of gymnastics.
Key elements of a cartwheel. 1. Preliminary movement. Feet staggered about 1 foot apart with the front foot pointing forward. Knees straight, face forward, arms raised straight in a V, even weight distribution on both feet, moderate center of gravity over the base of support, and stable base of support. 2. Backswing. Transfer weight to back by lifting front foot about 1 foot in the air. Swing arms back to beside the ears and lean slightly backwards. 3. Force-producing movement. Use all joint segments in order from largest to smallest. Joint segments, when used all together, increase velocity. Use all joints because the more that they contract, the greater the force. Take a quick step forward, pushing hard into the floor with a bent leg. Push off with back leg, and leg goes from bent to straight. The harder the push off, the greater the increase in velocity. Arms remain straight. Upper body bends on the anterior-posterior axis towards the ground. 4. Critical instant. The 2 hands make contact with the ground, right arm first. Both arms are straight and wrists are flexed. The straight back leg rotates around the anterior-posterior axis with enough velocity so that the front foot pushes off in a straight position from the ground into the air and rotates around the anterior-posterior axis about the same distance apart as the arms. 5. Follow through. The legs complete the rotation around the anterior-posterior rotation, landing one at a time, one in front of the other to create a staggered, stable base. The upper body returns to an upright position to transfer the weight over both feet and place the center of gravity over the base of support once more. Once the first foot contacts the ground, the body movement slows and comes to a complete stop when the center of gravity has returned over the base of support.
Biomechanics in the cartwheel. So the first principle is the straight and strong principle. This is that the force production equals strength plus flexibility. So when it's straight, this means that we're moving from bent positions in the preliminary movement to straight positions at the critical instant. And the strong part is using all the joints in the correct order without gaps or breaks. So applying this to the cartwheel, you start when you have to bend your knees before you start your cartwheel so that you can push off into a straight position while your legs are going over top. The strong principle is when you have to use all of your joints in order, which was explained by our expert. The next principle is angular acceleration. This is the quantitative expression of the change in angular velocity that a spinning object undergoes per unit of time. So, in the cartwheel, this means that to increase our velocity, we have to increase the angle. So we do this by bringing our whole chest closer to the ground before we push off to complete the rotation of our legs. The motor learning concepts used to teach the rookie how to do a cartwheel. So we use block practice, which is taking all the trials under the same conditions. So Josh got to use a thick blue mat underneath, and we were in the same room for all of his attempts. We use the part method, which is learning how to do the cartwheel by breaking it down into the skill into sections. So the expert Emilie broke down the cartwheel into all of the key elements and explained how to do each one, and then showed him, and then combined them all together so that he would have an idea of what he was trying to do. We used distributed practice, which is substantial wait time in between the attempts. So because we were giving him instructions and constructive criticism and feedback in between, it did take time in between his attempts.
Factors affecting learning. 1 would be motivation to complete the cartwheel. 2 would be my flexibility levels. Although there are factors affecting learning, I have a goal to achieve the cartwheel, and I have positive feedback from the expert.
Our rookie Josh is in the cognitive learning stage, which is the stage in which Josh understands the basics of playing the game, the cartwheel. Large errors are usually committed. Josh's large errors would be that his legs were bent, his arms were also bent, and when he was inverted, his legs were not kept over his base of support, which is his hands. He lacked timing and coordination, which resulted in him falling.
Correct. So, expert, what did I do wrong on my cartwheel?
Well, Josh, in your first attempt, your arms and legs were bent, which caused your center of gravity to be outside of your base of support. This is what caused you to fall. This time when you begin your cartwheel, make sure that your feet are staggered, your arms are beside your ears in a V, and when you go to start, you do your back swing, raising your foot about 1 foot off the ground, and swing it down hard, bending towards the ground, with arms and legs straight. After your force-producing movement, which is this part, comes your critical instinct. You want to make sure that your arms are straight and about shoulder-width apart on the ground, keeping your legs straight as they come over top of you, and making a vertical line so that your center of gravity is over your base of support, which will be your hands. After you've completed your critical instant, which is when your hands are on the ground and you're inverted, you're going to complete your follow-through, which is when your legs come around and rotate in a full circle, landing in the same position you began in with your arms in a V.